Cole Hocker, incredible double. I mean, this double will never be forgotten probably by track and field aficionados. 3:53 mile, 53 last lap at age 19, and then coming back an hour later to win the 3,000. And I've been thinking about Cole since last week's podcast. Actually got a phone call last week from somebody in the sport, pretty prominent person, as I was driving down to Virginia Beach. And we were talking about Cole. I said, did you watch NCAAs? They said, yes. I said, what do you thought? And he said, that's got to be his last race in the University of Oregon singlet. I said, what? I said, no, man, he's got to run in college. He's doing so well. I wouldn't change a thing. He's like, do you realize how much money is on the line if he doesn't replicate this at NCAAs? If he's not as good at NCAA outdoors, he slips up, doesn't win. He's like, his money will never be higher than it is right now.
What if he wins the trials? Wouldn't it be higher? Like, what if he wins the 1,500 at the trials?
Okay, so run the table.
I'm just saying, like, you're saying he could medal at the... You are the person who, a week ago, said this man could medal at the Olympic Games this year, right, Robert? You believe that? If you believe that, you think he could win USAs, and if he wins the trials, his value is going to be higher.
Yeah,
right?
but you pay people on potential, so we know that's his potential. If he wins the trials, you're probably paying still. It might be a little bit higher, but there's a lot of risk. You think he's still going to? The college kid's still going to be running well in how many months? 3 months.
In 3 months, I don't think it's that outrageous to say someone who's super fit right now will still be super fit 3 months from now. I don't think that's a crazy road to go down.
And I'm the one that's always encouraging the college kids to stay. And to me, it's weird. Let me give people a life lesson. If you're young, I always say money's not important, particularly when you're young. If you don't have a family, it's really not important. It's just, as Chris Lear once said to me, after running with the Buffaloes, Robert, do you remember when we were 25 and all we cared was about having rent paid and trying to run fast? It was great without responsibilities. But I always say money's not important until you don't have it. And then when you don't have it, it's very important. And when you have a kid and stuff like that, the potential, this guy was saying to me, he's like, the amount of money that's going to be on the table for him right now is astronomical. And then a number was thrown out as to, do you realize how much money Drew Hunter was given from Adidas? Everyone knows it's a 10-year deal. This person said the amount of money was closer to $5 million than $2 million, which seemed crazy to me. But then I think about it. If you make $400,000 a year, which is like, Jenny Simpson, some of these people do make that, right? With no reduction clauses, 10 years, that would be $4 million.
I remember the Hunter. I never heard specifics on the Hunter deal, but what I do remember is it was like such a large amount of money that it would have been stupid for him not to take it.
Yeah, I was thinking like 10, $2 million, but here's the problem. If I'm him, I want to stick with the coach, Ben Thomas. He's running so well.
Yeah, you have to through the trials, no doubt.
Well, then guess what? Then you're lowballed immediately, because this insider thought, he's like, there's no way in hell he can sign with any company but Nike. The moment he signs with an Adidas, the moment he signs with a Reebok, the moment he signs with a Hocker, New Balance, whoever it is, Nike says, you're not practicing on our track and you're not being coached by Ben Thomas anymore.
Does Nike control Ben Thomas? Like, come on. He's a college coach. Isn't he allowed to coach his ex-athletes? Like, come on. Or does he have some sort of private service contract with Nike? But I don't think that. I think there's ways around that. There's coaches who coach their ex-athletes, right?
Yeah, but some of these schools do have sort of personal services contracts with specific brands. I wouldn't be surprised if the distance coach at Oregon has something like that. And I think he's still involved in Neil Gourley's training, but Neil Gourley is a Nike athlete. Am I wrong on that?
But like, wasn't Jeremy Warner Adidas and Clyde Hart when Baylor were Nike? I mean, like, there's lots of instances of coaches coaching people who don't represent their school's shoe brand.
Not necessarily on Phil Knight's track.
Yeah, not everyone. Like, okay, there are instances of it, but this isn't necessarily one of them. Like, there are also instances, I know, in the past where there have been athletes who want to work with a certain college coach, and they're prevented from doing so for this very reason, because one school was, Adidas and the athlete was a Nike athlete.
Yeah, so do you guys think the Oregon coaches have like side deals with Nike? I mean, that would be interesting to know. I mean,
Andy Powell did, I'm pretty sure. I bet Vin did.
It's interesting, right? Because even like there was an article, I think, in the Wall Street Journal about the Nike track. I'm calling it Phil Knight's track at Oregon. I mean, I can't wait to see that thing. Knock on wood. Hopefully, we get to see that thing this year. And talking about the cost, and I think it was estimating $270 million to build it. But Phil Knight builds it all privately and then donates it to the university. So the actual money spent, it's just a way to get around some of the regulations. Phil Knight's smart. So Oregon track is his baby. If anyone's going to have side deals with the coaches, it would be Phil doing it. So who knows? Shout out. We got to get Phil Knight on the podcast somehow. These guys are getting up there in age. We need Phil Knight. We need some of these other guys. Gags. We got to get Gags on, like, for perpetuity.
I mean, it's my understanding that Matthew Centrowitz wanted to be coached by Andy Powell, but that wasn't allowed because Powell was an Adidas coach. So I don't know if it was Adidas saying no or Nike saying no a couple years ago before he joined the Bowerman Dry Club. So anyways, if you're Cole, you probably get less from Nike, but that's what Nike always generally offers less is what I'm understanding, and they say, hey, you want to be coached by Jerry Schumacher? We're going to give you this. We're going to give you good money, but not as high. So again, on the upside, it may be as high, but there's probably more reduction clauses. So what if they say it's going to run through the next Olympics, probably at least, the next Olympics is only 3 years. So what if they say, we'll give you, 21, 22, 3, we'll give you through 2020, we'll give you $1 million through 2024. If you make the Olympic team, we'll give you $500,000 a year. Would you take that? So you're guaranteed one, you could maybe make two, but you have a 10-year, $4 million deal with somebody else. It's a lot for a 19-year-old to think about. If I'm him,
I wouldn't take it. Sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
I think if I'm him, I think the money's going to be there. The talent's not going away. It's not like football where he's likely to break an ankle or whatever, blow out his knee or something. I stick with what I have. I get through outdoors. He's having fun. Don't worry about the money. Don't think about it. And yeah, it's risky, but again, this guy's going to be making more money than he ever imagined probably 6 months ago. It's very soon. So whether he's making $200,000 a year, $500,000, even I've heard up $750,000 a year. Yeah, some of those are 3 times as much as the others, but I guess it's a good problem to have. But again, it's kind of like when you in high school, everybody runs because they love it. Then in college, the coach gives them a half ride and they're happy, but then they realize someone who's worse than them is getting a full ride and they want more money. The money can complicate things, John.
Yeah, but Robert, I agree with you. You should go through the outdoor season and then you can make your call then on what you want to do. But people this performance is still going to be there for people to look at. They're not I don't care if he gets 7th in NCAA outdoors. They're going to still say, look at what this guy did in March of 2021. And he ran 3:53 and 7:46 and that closing speed. You can't just fake 25-second lost laps. He's still going to get paid off that potential, even if he runs poorly outdoors. It might be a little less, but people are still going to be convinced.
He may have more info on the super shoes. He gets smoked by Nagoose. People are going to want to give the money to Nagoose.
I don't know. I still think he'll have some pretty healthy offers.
So here's the question. Will he run for Oregon again?
Yes.
If he was your son or daughter, you'd have him run for Oregon again. I would.
I need to know the offers on the table, but I'd say, look, it's your choice, but I would suggest that you run this outdoor season.
I think one of the biggest mistakes of higher education, really the athletic departments of the last 20 years has been they've been trying to teach kids that the point of life is to maximize your revenue. And that's not the point of life. These schools should be ashamed of themselves, switching conferences. Texas doesn't play Texas A&M in football anymore because of money grievances. It's embarrassing. The point of life is not to make as much money as possible. So if it was my son, I would definitely tell him to go back in college. If it's my daughter and they're 19, I'd be a little bit worried that they could still mature. It would depend on their body types, I think, to be honest. But I'd probably still encourage them as well.
To go back for one semester or for the full 4 years?
Well, ideally, I think this.
I mean, you're passing up. If you go back for the full 4 years, you're passing up 3 of your main earning years.
Oh,
I think.
Yeah, he doesn't need to run the full 4 years.
No, they got to go pro.
No, he's
got to go pro.
No, this is what I would want. He's loving college. If I was him, the ideal setup to me is even if he was going to make $500,000 or $600,000, or Under Armour, someone's going to give him $750,000. I would take $300,000 a year with huge incentive, huge bonuses if he makes medals and stuff like that to double it, triple it, or whatever, like the average, contract. If I was him, I would take 5 years, $300,000. I get to stay at Oregon. I get to go to Oregon. I get to train with the Oregon track and field team 24/7. Nothing changes. I'm on the Oregon team, except I just don't run in the MCA meets. Stick in this, train with Tier and all these other dudes, train with Ben Thomas, etc. if he wants to do that. Now, he may want to go Schumacher or something else, but who knows?
Guy's not going to give up if he's going to go pro. He's not going to give up, like, if you're saying half the money to, like, no, not going to happen.